So what is up, guys? This is Nick here from Everything Tech, and welcome to this Moto G4 full review. Now, you know how we do it if you've been around this channel. This is going to be a long review, so buckle up, take a seat back, relax, go grab a cup of coffee, go grab a cup of tea, go have a drink of water, go take a shit if you have to before we get started here. But we will have everything time coded down below in the description, so you could skip to the section that you want to see with the Moto G4. I'm going to try to do, cover everything in depth as possible. So when you leave this video, you don't have to do any more research. You don't need to go on 1,001 blogs. We're going to cover every detail about this phone as best as I possibly can with the experience I have with smartphones. So stick around for that. Let's go. All right, so let's begin this Moto G4 full review with a hardware tour of this device. So starting on the front, I am booting it up right now. This is a 5.5-inch 1920 by 1080 full HD resolution screen. So pretty standard stuff here in 2016, but it is a full HD resolution, and this is an IPS panel. We'll talk more about display in a little bit. Let me power that off. Up at the top of the front of this device, you're going to find yourself the earpiece, and to the right of this, you're going to find yourself that 5-megapixel camera right there. Now, going down to the bottom, there is a mic here, so when you talk, the mic's crystal clear right there, and it is a curved design here on the front. Going up to the top, it's just a curve here as well. Now, on the top, of this device, you're going to find yourself that 3.5mm headset jack for your headphones. If we go to the back of the Moto G4, you're going to find yourself the 13-megapixel camera here with dual tone LED flash. Now, if you decide to opt for the Plus variant, you are going to find yourself a 16-megapixel camera here, but this is the standard, the most affordable model on the list. Right here is another mic right here, and this sensor right here is an ambient light sensor. So, in the middle of the device, you're going to find yourself the Motorola signature dimple. So if we turn it just a side bit, you can see it does dip down just a little bit. You can see my finger dip down right there. So it is a dimple right there, and it does rest pretty nicely there on your finger. Going down to the bottom of this device, you find yourself the 3.5mm headset jack. Yes, that is not USB-C. And on the left of the device, it is nothing but a solid silver. And to the right of the device, you will find yourself the power button, which does come in a ridge texture, and it does have the volume buttons here. Now, right here on the left bottom is going to be the place where you remove the back cover. So let's remove the back cover of the Moto G4, and these are user replaceable. This is a customizable phone. You could customize the color of this. You can get engravings, different colors, but I'm not gonna, show that here on the video. I will leave the link to Motorola's website where you can go customize this device if you decide to pick it up yourself, but it does come in multiple colors. But this model is the standard black. So in the back, you're going to see this is a sealed up battery here. And this, I believe this is IPX4 or something. Like, it does have a little bit of water resistance. It's not like a waterproof. It's not as highly rated as like the S7, but you can dip this a little bit in water and it's going to be okay. So right here, you're going to see this is a nano SIM slot, and I just dropped this, but this is a nano SIM holder for all of you who have like an iPhone or something, maybe an older iPhone, you're going to this. So this nano SIM holder goes in here, which converts it to a micro SIM. So that's a micro SIM with a nano SIM holder. So right here is a micro SD card slot, expandable up to, what is that, 128 gigabytes. Now this battery is embedded 3000 milliamp hour battery, pretty standard stuff once again for a, larger phone like this. Now, in terms of the build quality of the Moto G4, this is nothing very, off the wall, premium, nothing like, metal, glass, aluminum. What this is basically a functional ergonomic design that does not feel cheap by no means, but does not feel premium by no means. It feels practical, functional, and sleek, I'm not gonna say it feels amazing, but I don't think it feels any worse or better than something like maybe an LG G4. It's right around that kind of feel. So you don't get the metal or the plastic, or the aluminum like you would get on the Honor 5X or the Blue Vivo 5 or even like the more premium phones, but it does not feel cheap by no means. And in terms of the build quality, on the front this is Gorilla Glass, so you will be good here. And I find no scratching or nothing like that to be a problem. So that is the hardware tour and the build quality of the Moto G4. Now let's get into how is it to hold. Okay, how is it to hold the Moto G4? Well, holding the Moto G4 has been a delight. It's a pleasure. With these, curved design, Motorola has always been known for its ergonomic designs. And for me, I have bigger hands, so it's been a pleasure to hold this device. Now, it's still a big device, don't get me wrong. This is not your smaller ergonomic phone. This is definitely a bigger device. So if you have small hands, it would still curve into your little hands, but you're still gonna have to reach up. So it's not the best one-handed phone if you have small hands, but if you have decent sized hands, it's one of the most ergonomic, if not the most ergonomic large phone that I have used this entire year. So in terms of how is it to hold, it's pretty light as well. It's actually pretty light for its size screen. So in terms of just how is it to hold, very ergonomic, very, I'm not gonna say very light, but it is light and very grippy on the back. So you can actually hold this pretty easily like this without even dropping it. You can do all this stuff and it's just not gonna fall, As long as you got a decent grip, this is not a phone that's just gonna slip out of your hand. It's really easy to hold this phone right here, the Moto G4. So that is pretty much the how is it to hold in the ergonomic section of this. Let's get into this display and talk about the display quality on the Moto G4. So as we mentioned earlier, this has a 1920 by 1080 full HD display. Now there is no customizing tweak settings for this display, but this display is very crisp and very sharp, and it's very well balanced and very accurate colors. This is one of the best displays I've ever seen on a budget device of this price range. I mean, the viewing angles are just great on this, and what I like about it, and this might be biased, and that's okay, we're all unique and we all have our unique perspectives, but this device has a very warm display, which is very nice on my eyes. Now, I don't know how you feel about warm displays, but if you ever seen like an iPhone 6s display, that's pretty, airs on the warm side. This is pretty similar to what you're gonna find on something like an iPhone 6s. So if you like iPhone 6s screen, or even 5S had a more warm screen, you're really gonna dig this screen here. Very sharp, very warm, very accurate colors. And this is one of the best 1080p displays I've seen in a while, to be honest with you. Right behind something like the Super AMOLED displays on the Samsung Galaxy S4. And I would say this is even better than something like the display on the LG G3 that even had a 2K display, but was a little bit over sharpened and a little bit dim. This display gets very bright, and it's just really a joy to use. Very easy on the eyes at night and very good color reproduction here. So if you were looking for a great display, don't worry that this is not 2K. This display is very good for its price. And when you decide to pick this device up, if you decide to pick this device up, you'll know what I'm talking about when that happens. So that's the display on the Moto G4. Now, in terms of, outdoor visibility, once again, it was really good in outdoor visibility from my experience. Actually, I had no problem seeing it in direct sunlight with the brightness turned up here. At night, it was really good to read because of, like I say, that warm color tone. And overall, not a very sensitive display either. I didn't have a lot of accidental presses from the display, so the display in terms of its sensitivity is right on point too. So I gotta give Lenovo and Motorola credit here. They did do their research and did a great job in producing the display here on the Moto G4 and the Moto G4 Plus. Let's talk about software with the Moto G4. And, this was an easy review to do in terms of the, just the software on this device because, it's pretty much stock Android. There's not much else to say here. You got Android version 6.0.1 Marshmallow. And if you follow tech at all, you'll know this is a pretty clean version of Android. Motorola does throw, a few things in there, such as that Motorola privacy here, Motorola ID. And I did put the Motorola apps on the front screen. As you can see, Moto apps, this is literally all they include. 4 applications, and they are very useful. I do not like the Moto camera app that much, but that is my own personal subjectivity. You might love it. And I did a camera review on this. You could check that down below in the description. But if you go into this Moto application, it does say, "Hi, Nick," and whatever your name is, that's what it'll say there when you decide to pick this device up. But you do have the ability to chop twice for, the flashlight. You kind of got to get it on point there, but you can see it did light up there. You do have flip to do not disturb, pick up to stop ringing, and twist for a quick capture. So you could just go like that, open the camera wherever you are. throughout the UI. So that is a very useful feature there. Display, you do have a few display features here. Block apps, select how much details you show, and vibrate on touch. But overall, I find these features that Motorola included here to be very useful features in the overall package of this device. So that's pretty much it. It's stock Android with their included clock app and a few apps here, FM radio, device help, some Motorola ID stuff, and that's about it. You know, you get a different boot screen than you would on a Nexus or something, but overall, pretty clean software, and there's not much else to expect. If you guys want to, know more about the software you're gonna get on this device, just go research stock Android, and you'll learn everything you need to know. Now let's get into, the battery performance of this device. So the battery on the Moto G4 has been just really phenomenal in my experience. And I'm not gonna say phenomenal in terms of its, super long runtime. It was pretty, run of the mill for its price point. What we would expect, nothing worse, nothing less. So right around 4 to 5 hours on screen time out of its 3000 milliamp hour battery. But what's really stunning is for this price, you do get quick charging 2.0. So you can literally throw this phone on a charger and you can go to the bathroom, you could go, cook your breakfast, do whatever, and within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you'll be almost topped all the way back up. And that's very useful. Also, if you go ahead and put this on a 2-amp charger in a car, same scenario because it supports the 2-amp wireless quick charging. So quick charging really made up for it, and it does have enough battery to go the distance throughout the day if you're not a super heavy user. If you're a medium user, which most people are. If you're on your phone more than 4 hours per day, then you're probably not super active person, and this is, you might need a battery packed for that. But if you're all constantly out, like I would say the majority of people are, just hanging out with friends, doing stuff, going about your day, this phone will easily get you through the day. But if you're at home messing around with it, expect the charge to top up every 5 hours. But when you do decide to top up, it will only take you 30 minutes to maybe 90 minutes max if you're at 0%. So overall, battery performance is a win for the Moto G4. Now in this full review, I'm only gonna take a quick second to look at the camera, but we're gonna go our wrist flick right here. And the camera on the back of this device has been just fine. I did a full camera review on this, and I'm not gonna spend too much time here talking about it here, but it's pretty much, it's pretty good. It takes decent pictures, and don't be fooled by what you're seeing through this camera lens because the lighting is a little bit off here. That is actually a really orange case. But the lighting is a little bit off in this room. I'm using my overhead lights mixture with some indoor lighting. So the lighting is just a little bit off, but overall in, the real world, this camera performed pretty decent. And you get plenty of features here, such as manual modes, panoramic modes, and the works. You get your torch, your timer, your HDR. You have the ability to, of course you got a front facing camera, which phone doesn't? But you do have the ability to tweak options from the front on the front facing camera, as well as record 1080p from the front. So the camera is a pretty good camera here. It's not the greatest one I've seen, and I do think there is much better cameras at this price point. I think the Honor 5X has a better camera at this price point, and as well as a couple other devices. But the camera is definitely not going to disappoint you. It has an f2.0 aperture, which is pretty solid. By comparison, the LG G3 had an f2.4, and that was a really good camera, as well as the G2, I think, had an f2.6 or something along that neck of the woods. So this camera is pretty decent for its price point. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. But if you were looking for a phone just for its camera, I would have to say this is not going to be your best choice. If you're looking for a phone and your camera is your #1 feature you're looking for, there are better options for that. Now let's get into the speaker performance of the Moto G4 here. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna go into YouTube and play one of my videos. The speaker performance I found to be pretty decent here. Let me turn on the Wi-Fi. I did find the speaker performance to be pretty decent here on the Moto G4. Although once again, it wasn't, amazing, but finding an amazing phone at this price point is not the easiest thing to do. I mean, in all categories, you have to make some sacrifices some places. But overall, I was pretty pleased with the overall speaker quality.
So what is up, guys? This is Nick here from Everything Tech, and welcome to this iPhone iOS 9.3.2 versus iPhone 5S iOS 9.
So it's pretty decent, and I think in terms of, the actual speakerphone when you're talking to somebody, you're not gonna have a problem hearing anybody, and I think that's pretty much what we wanna know. I didn't find no muffle and no static in this speaker either. So if you were looking for a phone for, excellent speakerphone quality, I think you're gonna be just fine here with the Motorola G4. Now, in terms of media powerhouse, the speaker is firing, let me see where it's firing from. I believe it's firing, where's that speaker at? Let me see here. I believe it's firing from up here if I'm not mistaken, but I got a little tripped up. I forgot that the speaker actually fires from the earpiece as well. So this is the front facing speaker right here. There is no speaker down here, so it's not, like I say, it's not gonna be the best sounding quality, but at least it's firing in the right direction, in my opinion. That's subjective once again, but you know what? It's firing from the direction most people would like it from. Just be careful that you're not playing something and then you get a call here because they might blow your eardrums out. But that's gonna be it on the speakers. Pretty solid, and I think speakerphone quality shouldn't disappoint you too much here on the Moto G4 if you were looking for that feature. Now, in terms of the actual headphone quality here on the Moto G4, music sounded, I would say, a solid 8 out of 10. When I was playing it, it actually didn't even sound as good as the ZT Z-Max 2, which has that Dolby audio system. But, it was pretty deep and clear. So as long as the, file that you're streaming your audio from has some good EQ settings and they, paid attention to their audio equipment and they have a pretty good audio setup, then, it's gonna sound pretty decent. But, it gets loud enough, clear enough, it's just, it seems like it's tweaked to the point where you're not gonna have like, the loudest point because they want to save your ears from blowing out. But overall, you know what? This audio quality right here is going to be a solid 8 out of 10. And if you're looking for a good headphone phone, this is going to be a good one. But it's not going to be a great one, but it's definitely going to be a solid headphone audio experience here from the Moto G4. Although I didn't find any EQ settings, you might have to download a third-party app for that. Now, in terms of gaming on the Moto G4, I did download a couple of games here, and I played these games right here that you see right here: Real Racing 3, NBA Live, Angry Birds, 8-Ball Pool. And none of these had a problem on the Moto G4. What I did notice when I was playing the Moto G4 is that these games, they did take a little bit longer to load up than I would find on some other devices, higher end devices. Now, I'm coming from the perspective of using, higher end devices like Note 5, iPhone 6S, LG G4, these higher end devices. Even 5S had a nice GPU in it. And you could see how long they took to load up NBA Live. This would have already been loaded up on a more flagship device. So just be a little bit patient if you decide to buy this device for gaming. Be a little bit patient in terms of the load times. They're average at best. They're not blazing fast. But once I was in games, I didn't notice too much of a frame rate drop here on the Moto G4. And overall, it's a pretty silky smooth, system for playing video games. And as long as you're not playing, you're not a hardcore gamer, this device will be, the device for you, in the budget arena. This will be pretty decent. But you know what? If you're a hardcore gamer, you definitely know you probably need to step up a little bit in the GPU. But the GPU on this, for its price, once again, let me reiterate that, for its price, will run games better than you expect here on the Moto G4, and that's from my experience. Now, in terms of storage on the Moto G4, storage is not a problem at all. This is the cheapest model, starts out at 16 gigabytes. It goes up to 32 gigs. Plus you have 28 gigabytes expandable storage. We talked about that earlier. And out of the box, I think it gave me like 10 gigs available. Let's go into settings and see if it shows the actual gigs that it gave me when I first got the phone. Let me go down to storage. So where is the storage department? Storage and USB. Okay, here it is. So you can see 11.72 used, 10.94 is what it gave me out of the box. And it wasn't a problem. I got all the apps I use on here. Now if you're an app hoarder and you need more application space, opt for the 32 gig. But in terms of camera, downloading music, putting music on your device, not a problem. You got the SD card, which people do love. And storage, not a problem. Pretty quick storage. I didn't have no problems downloading things. Apps downloaded blazing fast. There was no internal storage save issues as well. So if you're looking for a device and you need decent storage, this device will be just fine for you as well as the G4 Plus. So now let's get into the call quality and the reception of this Motorola Moto G4. Okay guys, so in terms of the call quality of the Moto G4, it was really good. You know, Motorola has been known for being, you know, a really good call quality phone, great reception, great service. And to be totally honest with you, that held true here for me on this device as well. I was able to get 5 bars pretty much everywhere I went with the Moto G4. So going along with its practical design, it has practical reception, a practical camera, really great call quality phone. If you're looking for just a hands down reliable call phone, I don't know how many people are actually using their call anymore. You know, you use it to call certain numbers, but in terms of, you know, just looking for needs to be the best call quality because I'm always talking on the phone and I'm not using the functions, you know, the internet style functions. I don't know how many people are doing that, but it's always nice to, you know, have it rather than not have it. So that's how I feel. Like, just to know that you have good call quality there is better than to know that your call quality might stink and be a little bit stumbly here and there. So I will definitely take it. And in terms of call quality, I have to give this a 10 out of 10. So once again, if you're looking for a great speakerphone quality and as well as reception mixed with call talking and those things, this phone is definitely a sure winner here on the Moto G4. All right, guys, so let me take a quick second to talk about my personal negative points. Now, I do tend to prefer talking about positives of a device, and I don't get paid for these reviews. I, you know, buy these phones with my own money, and I do these reviews because I love making them. But I do have to point out the negatives. You know, this is how we compare and contrast. This is how we really decide if this is something we want. The first negative on the list is going to be the fact that this camera on the back, it's just kind of disappointing when you look at, you know, the fact that you could buy LG G4 for like, you know, the same price on eBay as one of these, and this camera will just, you know, knock the pants off this camera. And just, you know, the fact that, you know, the front one is not the greatest either, it was just kind of a letdown. The cameras are okay. They did not impress me for this price, but once again, for the price, they were decent. The battery life is my second negative aspect of this device. You know, it's a really decent battery life. It has good standby, good battery life. I know some other reviews have been saying that it's great. In my experience, it's not great battery life. You know, for a heavy user, you're not getting through the day with this phone. You're topping up. If you're using this device heavy, and you know, if you're a heavy user, I'm talking 5+ hours of screen time by, you know, 6 o'clock p.m. You know who you are. This phone definitely needs to top up, but there's a positive point to combat that one negative point. But that's 2 negative points so far. And the final one is going to be the design on this device. Motorola did a great job in its ergonomics and, you know, just its practical functionality. And this design worked if it was 3 years ago. But today, with all the metal phones, all the sexy phones that are coming out, this just doesn't cut it anymore. You know, you don't look at this device in a store and you think like, whoa, I need that, I want that. No, you don't look, no, just not anymore. Now, that's subjective once again. You might look at it and be like, yeah, I want that, but then you walk over to Samsung section, you walk over to Apple section, or you even look at the other devices next to it on the shelf, or you go on Amazon and check out all of these phones from, you know, Huawei Honor 5X. We're talking about Meizu, the Meizu Note Pro, the Ligu Shark. We're talking about all these other cheaper devices with sexy builds. We're talking Blue Vivo Airs. We're talking, you know the game. We have plenty of phones out here now with sexy designs at a cheap price, and this one just ain't cutting it. Now, you throw a skin on here, you throw a customized back, you customize this, you get an engraving. Now we're talking a little bit more, but still, this build quality, functional, practical, but definitely not the sexiest design. And that's my 3 negative aspects on this device. Camera, battery life is not amazing, it's pretty good. And design is pretty bland, not the sexiest phone of 2016. Now let's get into the positive points of this device, and there should be more. All right, guys, let's talk about the positive points, my favorite part of every review. And that's the screen, number 1. The screen, I talked about it earlier. I'm sure you could feel my optimistic, you know, feel when I was talking about the display earlier, the more positive focused talk about it. And basically, I'm gonna hold true here in my positive aspect sections. This display was very pleasing for the price. One of the best 1080p displays on a phone this price. The viewing angles really sold it for me, as well as the warm temperature display, accurate colors, and just overall sunlight readability. this device right here has hands down one of the best 1080p displays at its current budget price point. Maybe the only ones coming close is probably, Blue's devices with their punchy colors on their 1080p budget devices. But this was really good, and I think you're really gonna enjoy the crispy display you have on here. You will not even notice this is a 1080p. It looks like 2K. I got the G4 here, and it looks really similar to this in terms of just sharpness, and that's a 2K display. So you're not even gonna notice it's a 1080. It's just really sharp, really warm, very nice on the eyes, and great colors. Now, what's another positive aspect? The battery has quick charging. So even though I said that the battery life is not it's not gonna run you, if you're a heavy user, more than 9 to 6, 9 to 5, if you're a really heavy user, 5 plus 6 hours on screen time, the quick charging is amazing. So that really makes up for it. So although it was a negative, and the fact that it's not, a marathon battery, it really makes up for it, because 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 90 minutes max if you ran it down to 0, this thing is back to 100%. You literally can come home, throw your stuff on the side, go take a dump, eat some food, maybe do your homework, do whatever you're doing, and then bam, your phone will be charged back to 100. It's like you didn't even charge it, you just put it on the side. So that's pretty awesome there. Also, if you put a 2 amp charger here and a car charger, will also work really well. So that's my second positive point. What's another positive point? Although I said the design was kind of, in negative sections, the design also has a positive point in its ergonomics. If you want a phone that just, fits in the hand, very ergonomic, very functional, this is a device that kind of loses itself in your hand. So what I mean by that is, the minute you pick this device up, you don't really think about the design. It's that well ergonomically built, and you really lose yourself in the software of this device. So that's where it really shines. So the Moto G4 design kind of falls away, and you get immersed into the stock Android software here and its functional features here, and you just kind of forget that it's not the greatest design in the world. And its software stability and cleanness, simpleness just kind of makes you not even care anymore about the design not being the greatest after you've had this a few days. What's another positive point? That reception on this device is just hands down a beast. I don't got the SIM card in here right now because I used this for a week and I'm done using it, but really great, reception quality here for the Moto G4. And is that it on the positives? Also expandable storage, and the fact that it does have a little bit of water resistance here. Not, waterproof, but water resistance nonetheless. And that's pretty much my positive aspects on the Moto G4. Now let's find out in this conclusion, who is this device for? And this is gonna wrap this video up here. So who is the Moto G4 for? Little tongue twister there. Who's the Moto G4 for? So are you a person who just adores stock Android? And I mean, one of the closest to Nexi experience or Nexus experience you can get, but you don't want a Nexus 5X because you've heard that the LG, 5X is a little bit choppy here and there, which I personally probably don't believe. But you know what? And you want a decently priced device with close to buttery stock Android, go ahead and pick up the Moto G4. This is probably gonna please you more than most phones if you really adore that stock Android, stable, simple, clean software, and Android Marshmallow, and you actually want updates quicker than most carriers or most phones. This will probably get Android Nougat quicker than you will get it on something like a Samsung or an LG. Who else is this device for? Are you somebody who wants a simple experience? You're buying this for somebody who doesn't really understand phones that well. You just need a clean, simple experience. This is pretty clean and pretty damn simple. So if you don't want to drop, $400 or $500 on an iPhone, and you want to get somebody in your family something that's really, easy to use, simple and reliable, great call quality, very simple to use, decent cameras, decent everything, decent price, this is going to be a great phone for them as well. Who else is this person for? Are you a person who likes to play around and have backup Android phones? You just love Android and you always got to have a backup phone in case your flagship breaks? You know, your flagship breaks, your LG G4, your LG G5, your Samsung Note 5, your Samsung S6 Edge, your Samsung S7. You know what I'm talking about. You need a phone on the backup side, you know, in case something happens, it drops from 40 flights up. This is going to be one of the best backup devices. I mean, it could serve as a primary device. So in terms of dropping, you know, having a backup device, this is going to be a great one for you. Are you somebody who needs, you know, to have customization with your back covers and you like to engrave your name on here? This is one of the only Android phones I know where you can engrave your name on the device pretty easily, or whatever, you know, style you want, and just swap out, you know, multiple color backs from a, you know, OEM itself, not from a third party manufacturer, what oftentimes leaves you with some cheaper quality stuff. So this is going to be a great device for that person. And finally, who else is this person for? Are you a phone collector and you got to have every, you know, style of phone type? You got to have the LG skin, you got to have the Samsung skin, the iOS skin. You want to have some stock Android. You're missing some stock Android in your life, but you're not about to go drop, you know, tons of money on it. Pick up the Moto G4. It'll slot right in with your little phone collection if you have one. And that's pretty much the people that I think this device is for. Gamers, I think you should steer clear if you're a heavy gamer. If you're a person who just wants to do decent, moderate gaming, go for the Moto G4 here. If you want to do heavier gaming and you still want to save some money, check out the OnePlus 3 or the Moto G4 with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap this review up. I think this should have answered your questions. If you guys have any other questions, please be sure to drop them down below. I will reply to you, I promise. And yeah, that's pretty much going to end it here. Have a great day wherever you are. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We got more tech content coming your way. We got reviews, vlogs, and anything and everything tech that comes to mind. This is Nick here. Have a great day. Catch you in the next one, and peace.